Hello, everyone, and welcome to the land of Brand Laboratory, or as we like to call it, the LOBoratory for short. This is your host and master guide, Holly Chantal. I'm also your lead mad brand scientist because that is the community that you've joined. And if you've never been with us before, we meet every Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Time, and we talk about different topics that have to do with your brand, specifically building a brand that is unique and allows you to share your message and live your passion every single day. So today we're talking about our specialty, which is websites. I forgot to talk about the format of the call today. Basically, we're going to talk for probably about 15-20 minutes on today's topic, and then at the end we will have time for questions, discussion. You can tell me what your thoughts are on the topic, what's working for you, what's not working for you, or you can ask questions, whichever. And we love hearing from you. So this is really a free community call, and we love to share. So if you have anything to share, then definitely put that in the chat box to the right-hand side of your screen, as well as any questions that you have. And the reason why we do these calls are because, one, we love the community, we love talking to you. It's a great way for us to stay connected with our followers and the people that are interested in what we do. And it's also a way for you to get a taste of what we do. So who am I, who is Holly Chantal, and get a taste of the expertise and what it would be like to work with us. So today, let's go ahead and move on to our slides. I'm just going to share my screen, and let's make this nice and big. Perfect. All right. So today's topic is why cheap websites are more costly than you think. So it's very tempting to do your website yourself or to hire a contractor to do it for a very low price. And we're going to talk about why that actually is probably costing you more than you intend. So first, let's talk about your website from 3 different angles. So as you guys know, I love looking at different topics through different lenses and from different perspectives. So we're going to look at your website from 3 different perspectives. So the first perspective is how you first perceive your website. So when you start your business, what your website means to you. Then we're going to talk about the real purpose of your website, which you may or may not know, and then what you don't realize your website is really doing for you. So there's things about the website design process and your website in general that you might not even realize is impacting you as a business owner. So we're going to talk about those 3 different perspectives of your website. So the first way you perceive your site is as your virtual storefront. And that is what it is. It's your shingle hanging out, letting people know that you are in business. And they can frequent your website and find what you have for sale, make purchases from you, connect with you. It's really like your place on the internet. It's your storefront. Especially when you're starting out, your website also helps you feel more official so that you can start marketing. Oftentimes when someone starts their business, they will not market themselves until they have a website that they can send people to. They're kind of letting the website do the talking for them. And it makes them feel like, yes, I am in business, I am official, the store is open. And in some ways, that's good, and in some ways it can hold people back from really marketing themselves. The other thing is that even though you might put up a website that makes you feel more official, unless you take pride in that website and you know that the website's a good representation of you, you still may not be marketing yourself full out. And last but not least, your website usually starts out as a business card. So as you're starting out, you're not really sure what you want to put on your website yet. You're not really ready to make an investment in your site. So it starts out as a business card. It's kind of just a listing of what you have for sale, your contact information, how to contact you, who you are, and it's just a way for people to just be introduced to your business. So as you're out there hustling and networking and giving people your contact information, sending people back to your website, or as you're marketing online, you're sending people back to your website just so that they know what you do. Which is these are all great uses for your site, and they're all very true, but your website is so much more than this. It goes well beyond these three pieces. So the second angle that I wanted to look at, the second way to perceive your website, is what is the real purpose? So what is the website really doing for you beyond being a virtual storefront, beyond being a business card? Your website is a conversion tool. It is a workhorse. It is something that should be working for you night and day, because all of your marketing points back to your website. So all of your article writing you're doing, all of the speaking you're doing, all of the networking you're doing, all of the phone calls you're making, you're sending people back to your website. If you're doing print advertising, any kind of advertising you're doing, you're always sending them to a web page for the most part. And your website's job is to convert those visitors that you're sending to it into prospects. So that means getting them on your list, having them initiate contact with you, start a conversation that says that they're interested in what you have to offer, but they want to get to know you first. And then last but not least, your website converts prospects into clients. So it takes those people that have raised their hand that they're interested in what you have to offer, they've started that conversation, and it brings them from that awareness into purchasing from you. So that is a lot. That is a really important tool. And your website should be doing all of this. It is a machine that is working for you day or night, online, all the time. It's also a marketing tool. So your website's showing up in search engines. If you're writing on your blog or you're posting videos, you are creating awareness for your website. You're putting those all over the internet and pointing back to your site. So it's a conversion tool and a marketing tool. It is so much more and so much more important than just being a glorified business card. So this means that your website is really the backbone of your business. This is the #1 tool that is going to bring people from becoming aware that you exist and who you are to wanting to work with you over and over again. That is the real purpose of your website. So I just want to kind of drive home the importance of these two pieces, the conversion tool and the marketing tool of your website, is going to make or break your business. Then we have the hidden benefits. This is kind of the third angle that I wanted to look at your website. These are the hidden benefits that you may not even realize. And a lot of these benefits come throughout the website design process. So as you're starting to think and fantasize about this glorious website that you're going to build, you're starting to get that business idea out of your head and into the world. So your website is the representation of your message and yourself and who you are and what you're bringing to the world. So all of these creative ideas you have, all of the vision you have for what your business is going to become, that is what your website is. So it's really a catalyst for allowing you to take those ideas and bring them into fruition. And in so doing, it's going to force you to make big decisions. So what you're putting online, you need to know who you serve. So that means what kind of language you're putting on the website. So who it is that it's speaking to, who is the target audience, who are you marketing to, so that when they come to the site, they know you're talking to them. So that's a big decision you have to make, and really narrowing that audience so that they recognize themselves on your site. What it is you're really selling. So you need to know concretely what it is you're offering. You need to have those different offerings on your website in a way that's not confusing, so that people, again, they know that you serve them and they know what it is you're going to help them with. And the more defined you can get on that, the more effective your website's going to be, which means you're going to have to make really important decisions to make your website more effective. It also forces you to decide how you want to be perceived. So your branding, your visual branding, your message, how it is that you're presenting yourself online. Everything from your headshot into how that plays on your website, to the colors, to the type of feel that your graphics have. So when someone lands on your website, you need to decide, what kind of experience do I want them to have? What do I want them to feel? What do I want them to think about me? So these are all really big decisions that you need to make about yourself as a business owner. And in so doing, you're going to get a lot more clarity on your business as a whole. So the decisions that you're making and how you're presenting yourself online will also affect how you describe your services in person, or how you write about your business offline. So it's going to affect really your entire perception of your own business and how you are putting yourself out there in the world. It also brings structure to your entire business because, again, we're bringing all of these ideas and this creativity and putting it out into the world. We're putting it out into this thing that can be experienced and visualized and seen and touched. So in so doing, you're bringing structure to your business. You're taking these offerings that you were thinking about creating and you're putting them out there. And what you're doing is you're kind of building this house. And the cool thing is that once the house is built, now you can start playing with it. You can start painting rooms. You can start making improvements. You can take one piece at a time, so one piece of your business at a time, whether that be an offering or a way you're marketing yourself, and you can focus on that one thing. And the website is kind of the physical representation of that allows you to start manipulating these pieces of your business and seeing how they play together. Because it's all fun and games when you're thinking about things in your mind, but until you actually put them out into the world, you don't know what kind of effect they're going to have on the bigger picture. So your website allows you to do that. And it only will do all of these things for you if it's done right. So your website can be a catalyst for all of these things, but only if you're doing it the right way. So only if you're making these decisions and you have a strategy behind what it is you're doing, and you know what you need to be putting on your website and how to put all these things on your site. So how do you structure your offerings? How do you convey who you serve? How do you decide and how do you put out how you want to be perceived? And then the structure piece, how do you structure your business so that it plays well online and offline? So all of these things, there's a lot of strategy behind it that are really important to incorporate into your site. So it's tempting to not invest a lot in your website because a good website is an investment. An investment because when I say investment, we're talking like a higher price tag. So our websites start at around $5,500, and there are people that do the same things we do for $15,000 to $50,000. So your website can range from just a couple $1,000s to tens of thousands of dollars. And you get what you pay for. So you're getting a quality website based on, most of the time, based on what you're paying for. There's plenty of business owners out there that may not be really fantastic that are charging a lot, and that's your judgment call. It's your judgment to do your research and your due diligence to make sure you're finding the right person. Either way, it's an investment as in a high price tag, and it's also an investment in that it's going to pay for itself over and over again. It's that conversion tool, it's that marketing tool that's going to be working for you 24/7. But making that kind of investment is daunting for two reasons. One, it's a financial investment. If you're starting out, you may not be able to afford thousands of dollars right now, and that's okay. The other type of investment it is your time, and making those decisions can also be daunting And you might not be ready for that right now. Again, especially if you're starting out, or especially if you haven't quite figured out exactly what you want to do yet. So you might not be ready to make those kinds of investments and to put that much into your website. So it's tempting to go the cheaper route, which is to build your site yourself, which WordPress allows you to do. There's plenty of great themes out there that you can use and do small customizations to make really nice. It's also tempting to hire someone on a freelance site like Odesk or Elance to get your website done for much less money. And investing thousands of dollars doesn't seem like it's a viable option. But let's look at what the cheaper website is actually costing you. Or no, let's look at why these solutions are work. So why is doing the site yourself not the best option? So a DIY site usually looks like you've done it yourself. It does not look professional unless you are a professional website designer. And it can hurt your credibility. So if it's looking like you're not, your website's not professional, they might be wondering how professional you are. How much do you really know about what you're doing? Even if you hire a contractor, you still need to manage the design side of things. So even if you hire a contractor, you need to manage the design. So you need to know what looks good design-wise. You need to know what colors work well together, what makes a website clean. You need to know where to put things. So strategically, what goes where? So where does your opt-in go? What color should it be? What color should that button be? What kind of text should you be putting with it? So all of these strategy pieces that go into your site, you need to direct. So you need to tell the designer what you want. And all of the big decisions that we were talking about who you're serving, the language you're going to be using to convey that, what it is you're going to be selling. Again, the strategy for how everything's laid out and how you're going to create that experience for the visitor. All of those decisions need to be done beforehand so that you can go to the contractor and say, this is what I want, this is where I want everything, this is what it's going to say, here is my content. And you have to have all of those things up front. And as you're probably listening to this, you're thinking, I don't have all of those things. How do I get all of those things? And suddenly this becomes a really overwhelming project, which is what holds so many people back from even doing their website. Or they might start the process and stop halfway through because they don't have all of these decisions made. They don't have all of these pieces in place. So their website gets delayed 6 months, 12 months. Or maybe it never even goes up. So your website is more than just a to-do item. It's more than something that you can just throw up. And to be fair, in the short term, when you're starting out and you literally have pennies to your name, a do-it-yourself site is better than no site. Any website is better than no site. So starting the process with a template and starting to refine your language and refine your market and refine what you're selling is okay. You do need to have that. There is a learning curve and there is room for you to play with those things. But you're probably not really going to kick off into success until these pieces are in place and until you have something that's really going to establish your credibility and be a workhorse for you. So what is it costing you to go the cheap route? It's costing you credibility, because if your site doesn't look professional, you're not going to be perceived as professional. If your site does not have the right specific language that lets your target market know that you serve them, you solve the problem that they have and you're very good at it, you're not going to get prospects. Speaking engagements may be harder to attain. You won't be being approached for speaking engagements, and if you are applying for a speaking engagement and they come back to your site and they don't think that you're a professional, it may cost you that job. Joint venture partners, anytime anyone approaches me to joint venture or promote them or anything like that, first thing I do is go to their website. And it's not even just going to their website and seeing what the design looks like and that it's whether it's DIY or not. It's also the language on the site. I can usually tell just by looking at the site and what the copy says whether that person is really experienced or not, whether that person is going to be able to serve my target audience or not. Do I want to put my reputation on the line and promote this person? That's a question that joint venture partners are asking themselves. So does your website convey that? Convey that you really have a solid understanding of what you're doing, you can serve their market, and you are a professional. You're also going to be wasting your efforts and or money in marketing. So if you pay for advertising, you pay pay-per-click, or you're running print ads or anything like that, or you're putting ads on other websites, or if you're doing free marketing like content writing, speaking, teleseminars, webinars, if your website is not converting for you and your website is not built with all the strategy behind it, you're wasting all of that time and all of that money you're investing. So it's costing a lot of money and time in that way. And also when you're doing your own website or you hire a contractor, especially with a contractor, any changes you have to make are going to be costing you money. So if you kind of do a starter site and you need to make small tweaks to it, those tweaks usually cost money. And you're usually going to end up overhauling your site within a year. Sometimes it's within just a few months because you realize that it really doesn't represent you. It does not have the strategy behind it. It's not performing for you, or it really doesn't create the perception that you want. You kind of get embarrassed by your site, so you hand out your business card and don't mind my website. I had to put it up because I had this event coming up, or I needed to get something up quickly, and it still needs to be updated. Or maybe your business has changed directions, which it often does in your first year to 2 years in business. Your business is going to change a lot as you really decide what you want to do and you start working with people. And of course, it's going to cost you clients. Because if your website is the #1 conversion tool in your business and it's not performing for you, then you're not going to be getting people to sign up for your programs. So the benefits of hiring the right person. So what would it look like if instead of doing a cheap website, either yourself or by hiring a contractor, what if you hired the right person? The right person is going to help you make decisions about your brand strategy. So they're going to do more than just take orders from you. It's more than just ordering off a menu. This is what I want. This is where I want things. This is the colors I want. But it's really about the overall strategy, the perception you want to create, the experience you want to create. And the right person is going to help you make those decisions. Who you're serving, what you're offering, how to structure those offerings, how to present those offerings, all of those things. They're also going to manage the design and give you guidance. So an experienced designer is going to tell you what structures are going to work, what needs to go where, give you guidance on how to best present your business online. And they can also take an objective look at your messaging, your copy, your opt-in offer, the ideas that you're bringing to the table for your site, because it's not entirely up to them. This is your business. So taking your ideas, your message, everything that you have gathered already, and kind of giving an objective look at whether or not it's resonating. So whether or not the message you think you're conveying is actually being conveyed. So they can give you that outside perspective. They also know the right strategies to make your website a conversion machine. So they're going to know, again, what to put where. They're going to know what type of headlines to use, what color to make those headlines. So what are the strategies behind making your website work for you? And last but not least, they give your brand a polished and professional look. So working with a professional, you're going to look like a professional. It's going to convey that level of quality that you want your brand to convey. So in conclusion of why cheap websites are actually more costly than you think, When you're thinking about hiring a designer, you need to look beyond just the money you're paying. So beyond that price tag, you also need to look at what is it costing you. So if you if you don't hire the right designer, that may cost a little bit more. What is it costing you in marketing efforts? What is it costing you in lost opportunities, joint ventures, speaking engagements? What is it costing you in clients? And is it worth it? So do those things balance out? And sometimes they do. Sometimes you might not want to have a really big business because you have a job. And for now, it's okay for you to kind of tinker around and play with things. You're not quite ready to make that investment because really it's not having a big impact on your life yet. And that's okay. You just have to have that conversation with yourself, and you have to think both sides and make sure that the investments balance out. Your website is more than just a business card. So it's more than just who you do, what you're selling. It's really your idea and the incarnation of this vision you have. It really puts it out there for you in a way that not only your client can experience, your prospects can experience and see if it's what they want to do, but also for you and your experience and how you're structuring your business. It can really give you something that you can mold and shape as your business grows. I'm a kinetic learner, so I have to, I have a vision in my head, but I have to really kind of play with it and be able to manipulate it with my hands in order to really get a handle on it. So if you're a kinetic learner, it's definitely a great way for you to really kind of play with your site, and also visually being able to visualize your site and see it is also a great way for you to really get your ideas out of your head and on the page, if it were, as it will. I don't know what that right way to say that was. All right, and the website design process can bring structure to your entire business. So if you're going through as you're going through the process, you're going to be making decisions about how to structure your business, who you're serving, the messaging, all of these really important pieces that, again, might be floating around in your head but haven't been brought together yet. The website design process will help you do that. So the process itself can help you do that, or you may start the process and decide that you need to make all those decisions and leave the process if you're not working with the right designer. So the last piece is hiring the right designer is going to make a big impact on the website and how it works and the results you're going to get, as well as your business as a whole. It will have an impact in how you're presenting yourself, how you're marketing yourself, how you talk about what you do. All of those things really are involved in this process. So I hope this helps you see the importance of your website, how it's used, and how your website can really have a bigger impact on your entire business, and what it's really costing you if you're not investing the right amount of time, the money, and finding the right person to help you. So if you have any questions, you can type them in on the right-hand side in the chat box. And if you don't have any questions, type something in there anyway. Just say, just so that I know that you're still here and you're listening. Whether or not it was helpful, if there's anything you would like to add, any experiences that you've had with your website, or what's worked, what's not worked, those kinds of things. We want to get your take on the subject as well. And while you guys are catching up, because usually there's about a 30 to 60-second delay from me talking and you hearing, so as you're catching up and typing in those comments, those questions, I'm going to move on to telling you what we're going to talk about next week. So next week, we're going to talk about the #1 ingredient most brands are missing. So your brand, as we said before, is the overall perception of your business and who you are and what you're bringing to the world. We're going to talk about what is the missing link there? What is the piece that could make a really big difference and just putting your brand over the top? All right, so I'm looking over and I'm not seeing any questions. Sorry, my dogs are barking. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions. I'm not seeing any comments. And I forgot to mention that if you have any topics that you'd like to see, you can email Holly at thelandofbrand.com, and I'll be happy to get them on the calendar. Starting to look at October and what we're going to be talking about. I'm sorry, I saw a question come in and I got distracted. So any topics that you'd like to see, I'm looking to create the topic calendar for October. And I'll make sure that they get on there. If I don't know the answer to your question, I can usually find someone that does and wrestle them into the laboratory to talk to you. Tina says, didn't hear you talk about your help with copy, which is a huge differentiator for you. So yes, so I didn't actually mention that these are the things that that the Land of Brand helps you with. So Tina, thank you for bringing that up. So all of the things that I was talking about that your website design can and should be doing for you as you're going through the process, that's the Land of Brand process. So those are the things that we really help you with as you're going through your website design. And one of the things that we do help you with is actually writing your copy. So giving you, reviewing your copy as you're writing it, making sure that it's conveying your message, making sure that it's structured in a way that is going to bring someone from awareness to actually purchasing the program from you. So that is something we help you with. Thank you, Tina, for bringing that up. Regina says, thank you for the presentation. It was very helpful. I'm just getting started with my website. Fantastic, Regina. If you're getting started with your site, definitely stay tuned on these laboratory calls and check out our blog, because there's probably oodles of information that will be helpful for you as you're going through that process. And if you want our help, obviously, we're also here to help you with your website design as well. Anne says, always helpful. My experience is that is always helpful to love working with your designer. Absolutely. I hear so many horror stories of designer woes, and it goes hand in hand with really any type of service provider that you're hiring and working with. You want to make sure that you're having a good experience. And the website process, as you've probably become aware of as we've been talking about on this call, kind of the process that you really go through when you do a website, you want to make sure that you really like the person, because you're going to pretty much be business partners. You're going to be partnering together for a considerable amount of time. Websites can take anywhere from 2 to 3 months to sometimes 6 months or more. And you want to make sure that the person you're working with is really someone that you resonate with on a personal level and that you enjoy working with. Just like when you're working with your clients, you want to make sure that your clients, that you enjoy working with them and that you have a good relationship, because it's a process and it's eye-opening and it can be difficult at times. It can be challenging, and it can also be a lot of fun. So if you look at it from that perspective, then yes, you absolutely want to make sure that you love working with your designer. Christine says, helpful webinar, thank you. Patty says, I'm here, I'm listening, this is helpful. And when you work with someone, do you hand over the controls to the customer when it's all done so they can make changes as they evolve? Yes, so that's also something that I didn't mention that is important for your website. I kind of mentioned that, if you're hiring a contractor, when you have to have changes made, they usually need to do it. If you have a good designer, so someone that you've really built a relationship with and that has built the website for you, then you usually have a lot more control when you're finished. So when you have a website designed, you want to make sure you have control of the graphics, you own the domain, you own the hosting, you have all of those pieces in place so that you own them and the designer does not, so that if you do decide to work with another designer, you have all those pieces. Us personally, when you work with us, you get the graphic source files, so all of your branding materials, you get complete control of your website. So it's built in WordPress so that you can make updates yourself, you can post blogs yourself, you can usually make changes yourself. Sometimes certain design changes might be more difficult because it requires a programmer to do. But again, you have everything. So you can do all the basic upkeep of your site yourself. If you need to change wording on the homepage, you can do that yourself. So you have total control. And we actually even provide you with video tutorials for how to use your website. So if you forget how to add an image to your blog post or how to post a video to your website, there's tutorials for how to do that right in your dashboard, so that you always have something there to guide you, and you can keep your website updated yourself. So thank you, Patty. That's a great question. And Christine says, why does it take so long, 3 to 6 months, to build a website, especially when you want to get your business started? Great question. That's a really common question. So there's 2 reasons why your website can take long. The 3-month mark is usually the minimum. We have done sites in 2 months, and we have done them quicker than that. If it's someone that is already established, like they're someone that their business is not just getting started, they've already established, they know exactly what they want, and really we just need to design and build it. It can be a lot shorter than that. But especially as you're getting started, it can take a little bit longer because you have to make all of those decisions as you go. So it's really, the website is really an iterative process. It's really going to help you focus and take all of those ideas. And a lot of times when you're starting your business, all of those ideas are not as concrete as you think they are. You think you know what you're going to do, you think you know what you're going to sell and who you're serving, but as you start going through the process, you begin to realize that it's not as concrete as you thought. And there's a lot more decisions to be made. You start to question whether or not you're going in the right direction. So the process kind of brings all of that up, and it can take a little bit of time to work through that. So that's something that we help our clients with, is bringing them through that process and helping them make those decisions. So it really shortens the time frame, but the decisions still have to be made. And the other thing is, a lot of times people don't realize how long it takes to write the content for a website, and also how long it takes to go through the design process. So if you figure, you have a couple calls with the designer before they get started to make sure that they know the strategy of what you want to do, the colors you want to use, what appeals to you, all of those things. They kind of get that handle on that. It might take them a week or 2 to do the first draft, and then it takes you a week to come back with the edits, and then it takes them another week to create the next draft, and then it takes another week for you to come back with the edits. You add up all those weeks, and you're looking at least 2 months. And then once the design is approved, then it has to be built, which can take another 1 to 2 weeks, and tested, and it takes a lot more time than you think, because it would be a lot different if you could sit there with a designer and they're designing and you're kind of giving them feedback as you go. That's just not feasible, especially because it can take 20 hours or more to do a design. So it's just that all between the back and forth and the building and the testing and getting the content together, it can take at least 3 months. And then sometimes it takes a little bit longer if you have a lot of content that needs to be written, or a lot of times when we're working with our clients, especially when they're just starting out, they know what they want to offer. So I have a virtual program I want to create. I have a one-on-one coaching program that I want to offer, but you might not actually have the structure of that program yet. So you don't have a process that you're going to be taking clients through, and we help you create that process, which again can take a little bit longer. So plan on spending at least 3 months. And the other half of your question was when you want to get your business started. So obviously you don't want it to take that long. But you have to keep in mind that taking 3 to 6 months on the front end to get your business started right is going to save you a lot of time on the back end. The magic number that I've kind of come up with just from talking with so many coaches and so many people that are starting their businesses, as well as myself, is about 18 months. If you start your business on your own and you do it all yourself, it'll take you 18 months to figure out all of the decisions that we were talking about. Who you serve, what you do for them, all those things, how you present your offerings, how you talk about your offerings. It can take you about 18 months to get solid on those pieces if you're doing it yourself through trial and error. So if you take 18 months for you to really figure out what you want to do and then really start your business, so even at that point it's still going to take a couple months for you to get all your ducks in a row, And then we look at 3 to 6 months. If you're working with the right person that's going to help you do all of that and make the right decisions and get on the right track right away, you're actually saving yourself a lot of time, a lot of heartache, and usually a lot of money, because you're losing a lot of money during those 18 months when you're trying to get your business started. Sometimes people are doing training after training because they think they just need more certifications, or they might be investing in marketing or investing in other pieces of their business, and they're not making anything. So we kind of shorten the learning curve by doing all these things up front. So I hope that answers your question, Christine. That was a good question. I appreciate it. Jim says, remember to plan ahead and remember accuracy counts. Yes, so that is a great point. When you're starting your website or you're creating a website, you want to plan ahead. You want to look at the overall vision of your site and make sure your website's going to grow with it. You want to plan ahead and make sure you have exactly what you need to run your business with your website. And accuracy counts, I'm going to assume that means, making sure that what you're presenting on your site is accurate to what you're selling, typos, all of those things that speak to your professionalism count. So great point, Jim. Christine also asked, do you recommend while selling programs and my website is not completed yet to use a simple landing page instead of a completed website? Yes. So something that sometimes our clients do during those 3 to 6 months that we're working on their site, oftentimes they'll put up just a landing page, like a lead pages. You may have heard of that. It's a lead pages is a low cost. I believe they even host the pages themselves. It's low cost. They have templates. You just fill in the template, and you can put up kind of, again, just a business card. This is who I am. This is what I do. And this is how you contact me. Just don't expect a ton of results from that because it's not speaking to your target market. It's not doesn't have all of the branding pieces in it yet, but it's good to have something there so that, again, you feel official, you can send people to it, it explains what you do, it still is going to look professional because their templates are pretty nice and pretty streamlined. So yes, I definitely recommend having something up there so that you can feel that confidence and feel official and start marketing yourself even while you're going through the process. And Christine says, makes sense now why the 3 to 6 month process. Thank you. Good. I'm glad that that answer was helpful. Very good. All right. And I'm not seeing any more questions coming in. All right. So I'll stay on the line or on the chat at least for just a couple more minutes in case any more questions come in. I can answer them on the chat. I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast though. So thank you all for joining us. I've had a lot of fun. I love hearing from you. I love hearing your questions. So it's great when you guys can attend live. And if you have any topics you want to see in the future, email holly@thelandofbrand.com. Otherwise, I will bid you adieu, and I will see you next Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Time. And we're going to talk about your brand and kind of what is that #1 ingredient that's going to push it over the top. So have a fantastic day, everyone, and I'll see you next week.